The year 2020 seems dark and full of uncertainties, mostly because of the current situation of the world. But it has brought some things to light. Here's some crucial findings that help solve eerie cold cases. Number 5. Sezo Miwa, a famous South African football star and ex-Orlando Pirates captain, was shot at the home of his former girlfriend, singer Kelly Khumalo, in October of 2014. The 27-year-old was reportedly trying to protect his girlfriend from burglars. The whole nation was shaken by the event. The South African president, Jacob Zuma, said back in 2014, quote, "We mourn over this young footballer and team leader whose life has been taken away at the prime of his career." Shockingly, 6 years later, on Monday, October 26, 2020, National Commissioner General Kayla Sitole confirmed that 5 suspects had been arrested, including the man believed to have pulled the trigger, and that police had found the suspected weapon. Sitole said the process has been backed up by forensic evidence. They connected the weapon to the crime scene and used different principles as they sought a breakthrough in the case, with this cold case methodology ultimately leading to the alleged perpetrators. He said, quote, "Some of these suspects were arrested while they were outside custody," and added some were arrested or charged because they were already in custody on other cases on the cold case strategic approach. Also present at the briefing was Police Minister General Becky Saleh, who paid tribute to Miwa, who represented South Africa at the 2013 Africa Cup of Nations. She said, quote, "He was a national asset. We were at the funeral. It was one of the biggest funerals that took place in the stadium. We believe the nation will get the answers that they've always been expecting. 6 years is a long time. It would have been better if it were only 6 weeks or 6 months. The breakthrough comes 15 months after the passing of Miwa's father, Sam, who had fought tirelessly and courageously for justice to be brought in the crime that made him lose his beloved son. Number 4. In the fall of 1988, a 13-year-old was attacked and lost her life while in bed. The crime would have been shocking anywhere else, but in this rural area of South Korea's capital, crimes like this were happening with disturbing regularity. She was the 8th of a total of 10 female victims in 4 years. Nearly a year later, police arrived at the house of a 22-year-old repairman surnamed Yoon. He was convicted of the crimes and sentenced to life in prison. The problem is, Yoon says he didn't do it. Yoon was the only person ever convicted of any of the 10 crimes. Police suspected he carried out a copycat crime. For many years, it seemed that one of South Korea's most infamous serial criminals would never be found. The mystery was revisited in Memories of Murder, a 2003 film by Parasite director Bong Joon-ho. The crimes didn't soon leave the town's memory, even as the villages eventually incorporated into a small city, and police didn't give up their research either. In September of 2019, the provincial police department made an explosive announcement. In July of 2019, the police sent DNA evidence that had been held in their files for 30 years. The DNA evidence from at least 3 of the victims matched one man, Lee Chun Jae. Lee is currently in prison, serving a life sentence for the 1994 criminal case of taking away the life of his sister. A month later, there was another development. Lee confessed to all of the 10 crimes, and 4 others that police didn't provide details on. He'd given a detailed confession, even drawing on a piece of paper to explain the locations of the crimes. If Lee caused the crimes of all 10 of these people, including the 13-year-old, then Yoon had spent 20 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit. Yoon says, "I want my honor back," and he's determined to clear his name, and his retrial began the first week of August of 2020. Number 3. Karen Bodine, age 37, was a loving Seattle mother of 3 children. She'd battled addiction off and on for years, but her mother had always railed to help Karen and her children. Karen's oldest daughter, Carly, was a senior in high school. When Carly got the devastating news, she fell to the ground in horror and disbelief. Original news reports of the crime described Karen as a drug addict and transient. Carly believes that since the media had painted her mother negatively, the case didn't get the attention it deserved, and the police didn't put time into the case. Between internet sleuths, genetic genealogists, family members victims, and GED match, the world of crime solving is opening up to be a community affair. And now, journalists Karen Osorio and Kim Shepard are part of the formula. Carly contacted Osorio and Shepard, the hosts of the Seattle-based Scene of the Crime podcast, after someone who listens to the show referred to her. The real story is important not just for the family, but to law enforcement and internet sleuths. The real story is part of the victimology. The victimology can often lead to aspects of the criminals. The family had renewed hope when Detective Mickey Hamilton started investigating the case, even though he wasn't assigned to the case and isn't a cold case detective. Hamilton says he learned about Karen's case when he was new on patrol. Part of his patrol area was around the dump site where Karen's body was found, so he would drive by often. After driving by the site many times, when he became a detective, he wanted to help the family solve the case. Desperate for a break, in October of 2019, Hamilton submitted Karen's cold case to CrowdSolve. CrowdSolve is a true crime event that brings together citizen sleuths, detectives working the case, and experts to review the file and to try to collectively solve the case. The biggest piece of evidence they have is 3 different DNA samples that investigators say were found on Karen's body. CrowdSolve offered to pay for these samples to be analyzed. The sheriff's office declined the offer. When Osorio reached out to the CSI Atlanta, an Atlanta-based Emmy-winning true crime podcast, to see if any new technology could help, they found a few bits of new information from the weapon itself. CSI Atlanta and CBS 46 has teamed up with expert Francine Bardol, a forensic analyst based in Utah, to help solve cold cases. The team is determined to train law enforcement on the largest technological advances. Legendary anchor and CSI host Karen Greer said, "Media is the best way to provide information, facts, and highlight cold cases. We can reach more people than the police." Carly just hopes with the help of technology, community, and law enforcement, her grandmother will have time to see her daughter's case solved. Number 2. 2 mummies were found inside a sealed tomb, which would have originally been covered with gold leaf. One of the mummies was a fabled queen of ancient Egypt, immortalized over thousands of years as a beautiful seductress. But despite her fame, Cleopatra's tomb is one of great mystery. Some believe she was buried in Alexandria, where she was born and ruled from her royal palace, a city decimated by a tsunami in 365 AD. Others suggest her final resting place could be about 30 miles away in an ancient temple built by her ancestors on the Nile Delta. Now, 2 mummies of high-status individuals who lived at the time of Cleopatra have been uncovered at the same tomb, a discovery that is being described as sensational because it shows the importance of a necropolis that has been linked to her by the latest finds. Although the burial chamber had been undisturbed for 2,000 years, the mummies are in a poor state of preservation because water has seeped through. But crucial evidence reveals that they were originally completely covered with gold leaf, a luxury afforded only to those of the top tiers of society. Perhaps these 2 individuals had interacted with Cleopatra herself. The opening of the first ever intact tomb in this area was witnessed by cameras for a new Channel 5 documentary called The Hunt for Cleopatra's Tomb, which was screened in July of 2020. The mummies have been X-rayed, establishing that they are male and female. One suggests that they were priests who played a key role in maintaining the pharaoh's power. One bears an image of a scarab, symbolizing rebirth, painted in gold leaf. At the side of the temple altar, where priests would have made offerings to the gods, 200 coins bearing Cleopatra's name and her face have been discovered. This incredible find not only links Cleopatra to the area, but also reveals a striking image of the queen. While its prominent nose and double chin may not suggest the classical beauty immortalized by Hollywood and Elizabeth Taylor, it's how she would have wanted to be seen, as the coins would have been pressed using her direct instructions. Number 1. The origin of the giant Sarson stones at Stonehenge has finally been discovered with the help of a missing piece on the site, which was returned after 60 years. A test of the meter-long core was matched with a geochemical study of the standing megaliths. Archaeologists pinpointed the source of the stones to an area 15 miles north of the site near Marlborough. English Heritage's Susan Greene said the discovery was a real thrill. The 7-meter tall Sarsons, which weigh about 200 tons, form all 15 stones of Stonehenge's central horseshoe, the uprights and the lintels of the outer circle, as well as the outlying stones. Researchers first carried out X-ray fluorescent testing of all the remaining Sarsons at the Stonehenge, which revealed most shared similar chemistry and came from the same area. They then analyzed Sarson outcrops from Norfolk and Devon and compared their chemical composition with the chemistry of a piece of the returned core. English Heritage said the opportunity to do a destructive test on the core proved decisive, as it showed its composition matched the chemistry of Sarsons at Westwoods, just south of Marlborough. Susan Greene concluded speaking about the findings and said that the added evidence highlights just how carefully considered and deliberate the building of this phase of Stonehenge was. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But I've been Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.